Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and it is just me today because Kneon, I don't know if he's going to be doing videos or not. He yelled at two of our dogs yesterday because they went chasing after one of our cats, and he strained his voice, so now he's having trouble speaking. So I can't guarantee he'll be on videos today, but we shall see. Today we're going to talk about a couple things. One, Rachel Zegler somehow got named Woman of the Year, one of the Women of the Year, but it's Glamour UK, so, you know, tracks. Also, I want to talk about the fact that, contradiction to how she behaved. Now, Jennifer Lawrence is out there saying, maybe we shouldn't be so, quick to share our opinions about politics because it's too divisive. So we have, Jennifer Lawrence, who was once a young actress who has learned, and Rachel Zegler, who's still a young actress and needs to learn, and is being rewarded for bad behavior because it's, Glamour UK. So before we get into it, please like and subscribe. I'll give you a woohoo, woohoo. Also, I want to mention that if you want more Clownfish TV for links to podcasts and other videos, you can go out to more.clownfishtv.com, and that'll take you some other content. Also, I want to mention that the Christmas pins are now officially up. Now, they're only listed for a few days. And the reason they're listed for a few days is because last time, Kickstarter took forever to give us the money. And this way we can try to guarantee they get to you before the holiday. Now, I believe Kneon is going to be keeping it open a few days past this. So this is just the initial one so we can get the pins in production. And then if we get money after that, you can still buy the pins, but we're just trying to get them produced. So this one's Christmassy. We have, the little vintage set. I have a little deer, a little Santa, snowman. Kneon joined in and made a space age Santa because he wanted to make one. So there you go. And then we have a little ornament set. Of course, we have the Christmas holiday Geeky Sparkles, which will be a pin that can be unlocked after we hit so much money. And there is a potential for another pin, who may or may not be Kneon, that goes along with this, that if we reach a larger amount will be unlocked. So you can check that out on Kickstarter. And we're going to get to the video that you've been waiting to hear. So Glamour UK has named Rachel Zegler one of their Women of the Year. Of course, it's Glamour UK. So no offense, people in the UK, but you guys are like losing your shit over there. Your country is losing their shit. It's going so far to the left. It's absolutely ridiculous. We have people getting arrested because they say the wrong things on the internet. If you say something wrong on social media, you have the wrong opinion, they're arresting you. There were stories, and I don't know if it's true or not, but there were stories about, them police showing up at someone's house because of something they posted, months back. And things like that, because, how dare you? And we're not even talking like severe things like you're making threats. It's just you don't like someone's opinion or say, hey, I wish these people would go back to their country, is enough to get you in trouble. Now they're saying they hope that they can focus more on actual crime instead of, thought crime like Minority Report. We also have the story that we just had the Just Stop Oil activists had, put orange powder, which seemed like it was an aerosol powder, which is funny if you're protesting climate change. Anyway, they put powder all over Stonehenge, and they've been kind of let go because the judge in this case, Simon Jones, is he the one who's a judge? I'm not sure. No, Judge Paul Dugdale. Okay. So he said, if individuals disagree with what our government is doing on certain matters, they are entitled to protest about the government's actions or inactions. Yeah, usually you're allowed to protest about things in countries. It's just that when you're damaging things like, Stonehenge, it's a little bit different. He continued, there are times when protecting the rights of freedom of speech and freedom to protest can mean that activity that would otherwise be unlawful would be regarded as lawful by the court to protect those rights. So literally their right to protest oil and spray stuff all over Stonehenge was more important than Stonehenge. I would love to see if he has the same opinion, if people want to protest at his house and damage his property because you're protesting, because they have that right, it's unlawful, but the courts will find it lawful because they're protesting freedom of speech. So there you go. That's what's going on in the UK. So it's very, very far left, very, very activist minded at this point in time, which is so funny because, we left we left Britain and stuff for all that stuff here in the US, and we were the crazy activisty types, and now they're just going off the deep end. So we have that going on, and then Rachel Zegler's picked as a Woman of the Year. She's also known for destroying Snow White, and mostly because of her activism. And we have all this going on. We talked about it at length before. We're going to talk about what she's done again. But it's funny because while this is going on and she's getting rewarded for bad behavior, Jennifer Lawrence is out there saying she doesn't think she should speak out against Trump, not because she agrees with him necessarily, but because she thinks it doesn't do any good. That celebrities going out there and saying things aren't going to change anything. And she's not wrong. She's saying all it's doing is turning people off to films. It's causing more division. So once upon a time, she was a young actress and said a lot of stupid things. And now she's admitting that she should probably not say things. She said about talking about the president, she goes, I don't know if I should speak out against him. During the first Trump administration, I felt like I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But as we learned, election after election, celebrities do not make a difference whatsoever on who people vote for. I'm just sharing my opinion on something that's going to add fuel to the fire that's ripping the country apart because we are so divided. This is a very responsible thing to do. She says, I think I'm in a complicated recalibration because I'm also an artist. I don't want to start turning people off to films and to do art that could change consciousness or change the world because they don't like my political opinions. I want to protect my craft so that you will still get lost in what I'm doing. And if I can't say something that's going to speak to some kind of peace or lowering the temperature or sort of solution, I don't want to be part of the problem. I don't want to make it worse. Very smart comment. There is a reason why for years they always said, never talk about two things, politics and religion. There is a reason, because they're too divisive. And she's starting to realize that, going out there and calling people names and being a complete bitch about everything isn't helping anyone. It's not going to change anyone's mind for sure. I mean, I found that if you want to change someone's mind, you need to do so with discourse and, pointing out the facts, provided that they can accept the facts, because now people can't accept facts. It's feelings over facts. Just, yelling at people, calling them names, shitting all over everyone is not going to change their mind or opinion. In fact, it might do the opposite and drive people further to the right, which has been what's happening as more and more people say stupid things. And people in the middle are like, well, that's dumb. And if you don't align with them, you are an alt-right Yahtzee, even if you're not on the right. So they're just like, well, if I'm going to be accused of it, I might as well go there. And it's been an ongoing problem. It doesn't help anything. It just causes more problems, more discourse. As she said, fuel on the fire. It's really dumb. Smart from Jennifer Lawrence, finally. Then we go to Rachel Zegler. So now she is one of the Women of the Year. And the criteria for the Women of the Year, they're recognized for their impact across entertainment and media. And we can all agree that she's had an impact. It's not been a good one, but she's had an impact. So Rachel Zegler has been a train wreck. The last couple of movies she's done have not done well. She did Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and that one did $134 million and $123 million budget. People that are dumb are going to be like, well, that means it made money. No, it didn't. Because any publication that deals with Hollywood is going to tell you the same thing. That is the cost to make the film. That does not doesn't include marketing. It doesn't include theatrical cuts. It doesn't include payouts to actors. It doesn't include any of those things. So you usually have to take whatever the budget was and double it or multiply it by 2.5 to come up with what the break even is. So at this point in time, with a $123 million budget, it probably needed about $250 million to break even. So far cry. Then you go to Snow White, and Snow White is like prime example of what not to do with a film. It made $205.5 million globally. Most of the money was overseas because in the U.S. it only made $87.2 million because no one went to this film. And the budget, they say like a lot of places 269, 270. I've heard up to 400. It depends who you ask. But even when we go by 270, that would mean it would have had to make almost $600 million to break even. Like 500, was it be 540 million to break even to 600 million easy? It made 205. And while all the problems with Snow White wasn't on Rachel Zegler, because the dwarves looked really, really weird. And Disney thought it was a great idea to change the story, that it's now Snow White is going to be a leader, and she is the fairest of them all, means who's the most just. And, now there's no prince because being a romantic relationship is bad, except now it's a bandit. Because somehow you can sleep with a bandit and kiss a bandit, and that's fine. But a prince is a big no-no. All right. For whatever reason. And the changes of the story and the CGI dwarves drew people, made people go the other way. They didn't want to go anywhere near it because it looked like shit. But then you throw in Rachel Zegler. You might have been able to win some of those people back. But Rachel Zegler came in and just exploded her activism all over everything and completely ruined the film. And I'm sorry, a lot of the reason people didn't go to this film was Zegler. She did all kinds of insane stuff. Like, she did the comments at D23 where it was dated, the old movie, The Princess Stalkery, all that crap. Then she went to the Free Palestine thing on social media, which, to be fair, a lot of Hollywood celebs were doing that. So you could argue that, a lot of people were doing it, except her co-star, Gal Gadot, is Israeli, and she knew that. And because of her posting that, her fans all were harassing and sending, well, not all, but a lot of them were sending death threats, or some of them were sending death threats. More likely 2 people did, if we're going to be honest. If we're going to be like, if it's like the Star Wars where everybody, like, Moses Ingram got death threats, it's probably like a couple people did it, but Disney had to shell out money to pay for extra security for Gal Gadot and her family over Rachel Zegler fans and her comments. And then the producer of the film had to fly clear out to New York from LA to have a talking to, with her. And she did not pull her post down for the Palestine, which she probably should have. So that happened first. And then, after she already got talked to and she probably knew it wasn't a good idea, when Trump won the election last year, she thought it was a smart idea to go wish him and all his voters no peace, say, fuck Donald Trump, everything else. She went this big meltdown on social media. Notice she doesn't know how to use capitalization. That's relevant. Talk about the fearful world. I shouldn't be shocked, but I am. I'm heartbroken for a friend who woke in fear. She goes down here. I echo Ethel Kane's statement more than anything. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. Then she kept going on and on and on, which probably isn't a good look to wish more than half of the country that Disney wants to come see their Snow White movie, ill will, not knowing peace, saying they're bad people, implying that their vote because they don't care about others and everything else. Not, a smart thing to do. And this time Disney did not let it go. And she had to issue an apology, which clearly was written by somebody else because suddenly there's punctuation or capitalization. I let my emotions get the best of me. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding. And I'm sorry I contributed to the negative discourse, which she continues to do this day. This week has been emotional for so many of us, but I firmly believe that everyone has the right to their opinion. No, you don't. And even when it differs from my own, no, you don't. I am committed to contributing positively toward a better tomorrow, except you don't. You keep being activist-y and you keep running your mouth and all that stuff. And then, she did a spread with a couple magazines saying about how people misunderstood her comments. No one misunderstood anything. All of this led to the box office failure. All of this is her activism. So we have all this activism going on, and now she gets awarded for it with a Woman of the Year based on impact. But again, it's Glamour UK. So do you need to know more? She starred as a Disney princess who was labeled something of a bad apple by tabloid press. No. It wasn't by tabloid press. The mainstream media was labeling her as a problem because she would not stop talking. It's not a tabloid situation when it's true. Okay. Tabloids, I'm not saying tabloids aren't true, but they're usually known for exaggeration or, things that aren't necessarily true. And that's why they get sued all the time. No, when she's literally out there doing this stuff and people literally had to fly to New York City to have a talking to, she literally had to apologize for stupid comments. It is not tabloid fodder. Okay. It is the reality of the situation. And they talk about how she was plucked from obscurity at 17 to play, Maria in West Side Story. I argue they should have left her there because of her films. That one did okay because it was pre-pandemic. The Hunger Games one did, I think, okay because it was Hunger Games, Songbird and Snakes. But every time that she's had to be, I'd say arguably that anytime she's had to stand on her own, it hasn't worked. But then again, Shazam! Fury of the Gods was an IP and it bombed, which I don't think was all her fault. But Snow White, definitely her fault. I think 90% of that Snow White, okay, I'll say 85 because those dwarves are weird, is her fault. So they go on about all the stuff she's done, like the she was on, doing a Vita and everything else. And then she's like, has her YouTube channel and all this other stuff. And basically the things she's doing. And then she's like, the criticism rolls right off my back these days. I think it shouldn't, Zegler. I think you need to think about why people are critical of you. Because, it might not even be that they think you're a bad actor, as far as an actress, they may not think you sing badly, but your behavior and your attitude sucks. But she was listed as one of the Women of the Year by Glamour UK, where they think that it's okay to arrest people for saying nasty things on social media and, destroying things like Stonehenge or putting powder over Stonehenge is fine because protesting the government is more important than protecting historical national monuments. And maybe you need to be like Jennifer Lawrence. She made a lot of mistakes, but she's at least she's big enough to admit she made mistakes and to admit that she doesn't want to be part of the problem and that she wants to be part of the solution. And maybe, you should understand that you going off and acting like a spoiled little child, constantly, causing drama and conflict, one, isn't going to help your career because frankly, I don't know why anybody's hiring you. And two, isn't going to help anybody change anybody's mind. All you're doing is making them angry and pushing them further away. No one gives two shits what your political opinion is. They just want to know if the movie that you're going to be in is good. So there you have it. Once again, please check out the Geeky Sparkle Christmas pins and Neon's one little Santa pin, which I adore. So please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.